Hello to everyone listening. My name is Shavana. Welcome to the Taurus Aura podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about the world and humanity through a nuanced astrological lens. I wanted to start my first episode by explaining the origins of astrology. That way, as you listen to my future episodes or even just explore astrology on your own, you'll have a clear sense of its purpose and intention. So let's jump right in. The vibe here will be completely chill, but intellectually stimulating at the same time. In a nutshell, astrology is the study of our solar system and its influence on humanity. A lot of people think astrology is woo-woo or a spiritual practice. Some even think it's a religion, but it's not. The earliest civilization we know of to use astrology was Mesopotamia, which today is the Middle Eastern region, including countries like Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and a few other neighboring countries. They believe that what happens in the sky affects us here on Earth, how we think, communicate, look, and move. What's fascinating is that astrology existed long before the first planet was ever scientifically discovered, and that planet was Uranus. It was discovered by William Herschel in 1781 by way of a telescope, and telescopes themselves weren't even invented until 1608. So you're probably wondering, how could astrology have existed for thousands of years if the planets and other celestial objects weren't even scientifically discovered until the 1700s? Well, because aside from the stars, the sun, and the moon, we can also see a few planets with our naked eye. If you look up at the night sky at the right times, you can spot Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This is a scientific fact. Of course, you won't see details like Saturn's rings or Jupiter's colors. With our eyes, we can only see points of light illuminated by the sun, but that was enough for ancient astrologers to develop a system long before modern technology. In fact, this is also how astronomy was born. The first astronomers also observed the sky and recorded patterns long before we had the tools to explain them. As you can already see, astrology and astronomy are related. Astronomy is the science of celestial objects, space, and the universe as a whole, something you probably learned a bit about in school, whereas astrology takes that same information about the solar system and hypothesizes that life on Earth, humans, animals, even events, could be affected by our solar system beyond biology. We know for a fact that the solar system influences us biologically. For example, the Earth's tilt and position relative to the sun create the seasons. The moon controls ocean tides and has some influence on sleep cycles and animal behaviors. So ancient astrologers thought, if the solar system affects us biologically, why not also existentially, psychologically, or even emotionally? This idea was the seed of astrology. But I want to emphasize astrology is not astronomy. It's not backed by science in the same way astronomy is. Astronomy is about measurable facts and testable theories on space. Astrology, on the other hand, uses the same scientific observations to explore meaning in life, spiritually, existentially, and symbolically, on humans. This is why astrology often gets labeled as woo-woo or just spiritual, and why many people doubt it. But the purpose of astrology at its core is simply to help us find meaning in our lives and in our humanity. It's similar to, but not the same as, religion. It's another method humans have created to make sense of our existence, and for a lot of people, finding meaning and making sense of our human existence doesn't require scientific evidence. Sometimes science and meaning don't go hand in hand. Sometimes science doesn't explain how you feel about life, your dreams, or your purpose. For example, if you dream of becoming a doctor because you want to heal others, that dream wasn't put in you scientifically or by your DNA, at least not literally. It comes from your feelings, your talents, your interests, or your sense of purpose, none of which science fully accounts for. And that's where astrology comes in, not to replace science, but to give you a language to understand yourself and your place in the universe. And even if you never use astrology as a personal tool or guide, it can simply be a fun and interesting subject to learn about. You don't have to apply it to your life if you don't want to, just like you're not required to become a mathematician if you study math or a theologian to study a religious text. We recognize fields like math, science, literature, the arts, and even theology as legitimate areas of study. You can go to college for these subjects and even build a career around them. But astrology isn't officially recognized as a field of study in most schools and workplaces, and so I think that contributes to the skepticism around it. Personally, I don't always use astrology in my daily life. Sometimes I simply enjoy learning about it as a field of study. And yes, by default, I end up learning more about myself and the world around me. But I also understand that astrology is not a prophecy and it's not absolute. Astrology is a system of possibilities, tendencies, and potentials. It doesn't replace real life experiences and it can't do life for you. You're still in charge of your own decisions, actions, and your identity. I think people are skeptical of astrology because they assume it's trying to control them, but that's not the case at all. Astrology, as I stated, started as a hypothesis. Ancient astrologers observed the movements of the sky, then studied how people seemed to behave under those movements. After collecting data over time, they began to see patterns that people born under certain movements of the sky tended to act, think, feel, or even dress in particular ways. These observations were never meant to be absolute truths, and like many scientific studies, they were based on just a sample of people, not everyone in the whole world, and they leave room for individual choice and growth. So, as I wrap up this first episode, I just want to leave you with this: astrology is here if you want it. You can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. At the very least, it invites you to reflect on yourself and consider your place in something much bigger than yourself, and that alone can be a meaningful experience. Whether you choose to use astrology as a guide or a simple curiosity, the choice is always yours. You are the one living your life, and astrology is just one of many tools that can help you explore it. So thank you so much for listening to me on this podcast. If you like what you heard and you're interested in more astrology information from me, go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, and as an introduction, comment down below your zodiac sign. Please stay healthy and take care of yourself, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Bye.